What is it that therapists need to know right now? What is it that not only what do we need to know? What does the larger community need to know? But what is it we need to be doing right now to have the biggest impact? And are those actions different for white therapists or therapists of other colors?
If I may, I would like to tackle that. It goes back to similar to what I've got behind me as my backdrop. Knowledge equals power. And it's for white therapists and all the therapists to recognize that our stories matter and they're truthful. And as opposed to trying to direct us away from our pain in a way that is satisfying to you and gives you comfort and lets you think that you've done something great in the lives of your clients, I think it's really important that you recognize that our stories are truth and sit in it with us and do some things within your own self, because it really takes you going inward and recognizing not just how this particular thing has affected you, but how, because of your privilege that you have, has allowed you over the years to kind of be maybe ignorant to or allowed to kind of put on the back burner or just not necessarily have to live with the things that are happening in communities of people who are marginalized. It's really important that you kind of do some soul searching, recognizing where you have implicit bias and where it may come out explicitly in the lives of your clients.
Yeah, thank you. And if I could add on as well, I think it's important for therapists to understand that Black and white people live in two different Americas, and your experience going around in white skin is very different than people in Black and brown skin. And even if we're not talking about that in therapy, it doesn't change the reality. It's still our lives. And therapists should not make people of color prove that to them. You need to believe us when we tell you that we've been mistreated or that our lives are different or that our lives are hard in ways that you've never seen or understood. I have this picture I like to show from the X-Files with the UFO, and underneath it says, "I want to believe." And that's how you need to treat racism when your clients talk to you about it. Maybe you've never seen a UFO, but you want to believe them because it's our reality, and we need to be seen and heard and acknowledged.
And I thank you both for those comments. I think also part of what's necessary for therapists is to, again, take a deep dive into their own self-study about their own relationship to their own race. Now, this is something that most Black people do. It is not something, in my experience, that most white people do. Think about, what does it mean to be white? What does that even mean? I can't answer that question. I don't know the answer to that question. But I think it's important we live in a racialized world. We live in a racialized culture. Therefore, it is incumbent upon us to be real clear about, okay, so what is it? What is whiteness? What is that? I think that is an important conversation for white people, white therapists particularly, to have, because you cannot sit with someone else's pain and suffering unless you've dealt with your own. And one of the thoughts I had, and I've asked this of some of my white friends in the past, but particularly during this episode, I thought, you know what? It would seem to me that for some people, a feeling of shame would have to be coming up. And as we know, shame is a hard feeling to process. None of us likes that one. I think it's probably one of the more painful experiences. I've heard people talk about white guilt. It's shame. And I think that white people need to go into their own shame about how they have either ignored or participated in doing harm. It's important. It's not easy. It's not pleasant. But unless and until you sit in the fire of your own pain and suffering, you cannot help someone else. And every Black person who comes to therapy has some form of trauma and stress. And it's not just around this most recent very dramatic event.